Well, good morning to you. It is October the 14th. It is a Tuesday. Happy to see you guys here. We got plenty to discuss. We had a great day yesterday. If you missed the stream, we reacted to a Maddie Plays video, a Laura Fryer video, a Just Corden article, just kind of talking through Xbox. I like that was a really good stream, really enjoyable. Remember to, check your primes over there on Purple. If you're paying for Amazon Prime, you can throw your Twitch Prime on that channel every month, and that does support me. Check your upgrades as well over here on YouTube. We're working on getting to 600 people at Member Plus and above. We've been kind of fighting that fight for a while now. So if you enjoy all the content, $6 a month goes a long way to help me doing this full time. So thank you to everybody who also has been supporting the uploads. The Soros video did not really go very well. That one may need to end up disappearing. When videos don't perform well, sometimes it's better just to get rid of them. It's a bit of a bummer. It's probably just because there's not a lot of interest in the game. It's not as well known as some of the other titles that we've covered recently, like Marathon or Expedition 33. We'll give it some time though. We'll see if it can't turn. Here we go, yo. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mr. Chosen, Damien, Ghetto God, Pac-Man, Wired Ropes, always in the purple chat saying, "Go live, you bum." I've tried to be better about starting morning coffee closer to the time, but Tuesdays are tough. I'm making like two different things of a full batch of coffee for my wife to take to the school, so all the mamas have coffee for their morning. Battlefield 6 is so fun you can't stop playing. I mean, I'm still... I didn't even realize I had they give you the cloth with the Yote 6 on it. I didn't even realize I had that. My daughter was going through the boxes over there, and she pulled up the thing. She's like, "There's more stuff in here." And I was like, "What?" So, how'd the game go? My boys won, and it was the hardest game of the entire season. The team that we played against, we've always scrimmaged them, and we always wipe the floor with them. Well, that was our greatest weakness. They knew how to play against us, so they basically triple teamed my best player the whole night, and he just got frustrated. And I told him, I was like, "You've got to pass it early," or I said shield and drop pass. I was like, "You've got to adapt. They're not going to let you come up the left wing like you do every time we scrim them. They know what our plan is." Well, not necessarily our plan. They know where our greatest strength is. He has a left foot. So he goes up that left wing and nobody expects it. And boom, he can kick it all the way. So it was a tough game. I've never seen a game like this at this level. Constantly fighting, constantly in the trenches. Anytime the ball ended up behind us, I was nervous. At one point, we had a 3-point lead. And these guys came back and tied it. So it was 5-5. And I'm sitting here thinking, we're going to go to PKs. We're going to freaking go to PKs, which is the most unsatisfying way to win a final. It's not satisfying at all. You're basically waiting for one person to make a mistake. Losing to PKs in a final is incredibly, not fun. It's I'd rather them just win than go to PKs. It's it just doesn't feel good. So it's 5-5. And I said to one of the dads that's always over there with me, I was like, we're going to go to PKs. Right? There's maybe 3 minutes left in the game. And finally, the guy I told to pass it early, I was like, "Buddy, they're triple teaming you. Just get a through pass or change the field, cross, drop, something." Right? Please do something different. And so he finally does. He finally does. He gets halfway up left wing, and he realizes, "I'm done. I'm going to get triple teamed again." And he sends it over, and there's nobody there. I told him, I said, "That side of the field is so heavy. They're totally overcompensating because they know that you're a good player." He sends it over to another one of our good players, and he cuts right a little bit and gets it in. It's the go-ahead. And I'm thinking, slow the game down. Get the ball and clear it. Get the ball and clear it. There's only a couple minutes left. And they almost get a score in these waning minutes. In these waning minutes, this kid comes to score on the box. My boy stops him. This kid falls on my son. They kind of get tangled up. and they fall on each other. And I'm thinking, okay, we got the ball back, let's go. And my wife's like, he's not okay. And I'm like, what? And I look to my son, I'm like, you okay? And he's grabbing his knee, and he's like on the verge of tears. And I'm like, oh no. I'm thinking he twisted his knee or something, because the way they fell, like, it could have been bad. So I quickly run out. I don't want him putting weight on it. I pick him up. I run off the field with him. And I'm like, I tell this one kid, I'm like, get out there. And he gets out there, and he's like looking at my son to check on him. And I was like, buddy, head in the game. He's okay. You have got to focus right now. There's 2 minutes left in the game, and we're up by 1. The thing is that as they're playing, my son's sitting there saying what happened. He's like, oh, his cleats hit my knee. And I'm like, okay, I don't see any blood. I don't see any gashes. I'm thinking it probably just either like really hurt and scared him, but he didn't twist it. I'm like, okay, as long as you didn't twist it, you know, you'll probably be okay. A minute goes by, and he's like, I can play. And I'm like, are you sure? I'm like, because the kid that I put in, the reason I had some kids on the bench in the fourth is it was too close of a game. I had my strongest players in there, and my son's a menace. He's an absolute menace on the field. And I'm like, run up and down the sideline. I need to see you jog. I need to know. He runs, he does a quick stop, and I'm like, all right. Next possession, I'm like, get back out there. And then I felt bad because one of the other kids had been sitting out the whole time, third and fourth, because it was just too close. I couldn't afford to put him in. So I'm like, all right, fine, you go out there too. And this kid goes out and has 2 huge stops. I mean, huge stops. And he was one of my less experienced players. And he gets 2 huge stops. He kicks it, it goes back, they try it again, he kicks it, he sends it, and I'm like, oh my gosh. 10 seconds later, the game's over. We won. I'm like, I run on the field. I'm like, you guys did it. Like, I was so excited. And I went up to that kid. I was like, you did it. I was like, that was amazing. Because he struggled most of the season. Like, it was just hard for him, to adapt, But my son, like, I was impressed with him. And now today, he's hurting. I don't think he realized it, but I think when they went down, I think he hurt his ankle or his heel. His one foot's really bothering him. I think the knee distracted him because he got like hit in the knee, and like that's all he focused on. He played the rest of the night with the boys. Like after we won, like they were all playing and running around together. So I'm like, I think it's just tight on. I think it tightened up on him. Kid had a purpose to prove you wrong in crunch time. He got it. Yeah. He finally figured out the season's over. It's always like that. Last year I had a kid that didn't even want to play. He didn't even want to play. By the end of the season, he was one of my best defenders, and he cried when we lost. That was last year. I think the other team was playing dirty. They weren't playing dirty. That one of them was shoving a bit too much, and my son told me, he's like, he's shoving. I'm like, just play harder than he is. If he's shoving, it's usually in desperation. Usually at that age group, if someone's shoving, if arms are coming up, they're desperate. They're playing from emotion. I was like, just play harder. He's scared if he's putting his arms up. He knows he's either going to get beat to the ball or, he knows they're falling behind. I was like, so just play harder. Use your body. And the boys, they played their best game. They really did. I didn't do the best job as a coach. I should have realized what they were doing to my really good player. And I should have played some trickery. I should have been like, all right, as soon as you get the ball, I want you to move up, and then I want you to immediately run to the right side of the field. Just take the ball over there. You're faster than just do it. Instead of trying to go up the left, because he was going up the left, and they had the left stacked because they were ready for him. And it's like, no, just run to the other side and then swap with this kid. So then what they would have done is it almost would have been like an American football play, like you just crisscross on the field, to make the defenders get a little discombobulated and confused. Like, wait, I've been guarding this guy the whole time, and then they'd follow, and it would have caused confusion. I just didn't do a good job of adapting, because like I realized what they were doing, and the game was so intense. Like I had a hard time getting into the moment to be like, well, this is what you guys need to do. I just kept telling the really good player, I was like, you just have to pass it earlier. I was like, they're not giving you an inch. They're driving you all the way to the edge every single time. You don't have time. You need to get it. You need to get it across the field. You need to change the field basically almost instantly because they're stacking it. And when he finally did, we got the go-ahead goal. So I told him, I knew he was disappointed because he usually scores a lot of points. And I knew he was disappointed. And I was like, listen, man, your pass was what changed the game. Like, that pass was literally what we needed. We needed you to basically say, it's not about me, it's about the team. And that's what won the game. Last year, he was really upset. He's like, I always make it to the final, and I always lose. And I was like, well, we'll change that next year. So I reminded him. I was like, remember what I told you last year? I told you we were going to change that this year. We were gonna bring it, and it was good. It was good. I went and spoke to all the parents. We're like saying, because the boys are gonna roll up to the next age group next year. So I went around. I was like, if you guys are rolling up, I was like, put my name down, put my son's name down, and then I went and spoke to the coach that we played against because we had been sharing a field all year long. And we had kind of become, very cordial and friendly. And I told him, I said, I'm just going to throw this out there because he was coaching his son's team, and his son was on the team that we beat, and his son's pretty good. And I was like, I'm just going to throw this out there. I was like, we should coach together next year, and you bring your son over. I was like, I'm going to bring these boys with me. I was like, because they follow me. They come with me wherever I go. Like, they're going to put my name down. I said, and I got one more player that we lost this year to age, and we're going to be in his bracket again. And so he's going to be on our team because his brother, he follows one of my other players as well. I was like, we're going to have a really good team. I was like, and having you, as an assistant coach, like us coaching together, I said, and having your son, I was like, we could have a really fun team. He was like, well, he's like, would they say no to that? I'm like, they don't really police it. I was like, we've gone up against teams that have been completely and utterly stacked. I was like, and that's not really what we're doing. They're friends. Like, all these boys get along. I was like, they're always playing together, after the games are over. I was like, I think it'd be great. So we swapped numbers. And come to find out, he has a PhD from the seminary that I went to. He has a PhD in a field that I'm very interested in. And he used to do a podcast about it. And so when he learned what I did, he's like, well, maybe you could help me. He was like, I stopped doing the podcast. He's like, someone in his family got sick and he had to focus on it. And that time has passed. And so he was like thinking of spinning it up again. And I was like, I've been wanting to do something like that. I was like, so I think we need to, I think we need to talk. We need to get coffee or something. Wait, why is it saying this is set to members only? Why did it set the... Hang on. I got to delete this and reschedule. That's going to jack things up. Hang on a minute. I'm talking and distracting myself. I don't know if I found a boyfriend. We basically talked for an hour about his field of study. We talked for an hour. We just stood there on the side of the field after the game was over. And we were just talking about that. It was like, we have a lot in common. It was so bizarre. It was like, we have similar ideas, similar philosophies about things. And I was like, I think we need to get coffee because I think there could be something here. The odds of like being on the field with this guy, playing against him, they didn't even expect to be in the final. Their boys were so happy at the end of the game because they gave us such a run for our money. Like, they were all beaming with pride. I told them, I said, you guys can hold your head high. I was like, that was an incredible game. I was like, I don't even know what to say. I was like, that was an incredible game. You guys were all hard. I told my boys, I said, you're going to have to play like this is the toughest team you've ever played. I was like, because they're going to be all heart because they didn't expect to get here. They beat the team that was undefeated. They beat another tough team that we had already played against and beat, but it was a tough game. I said, they're going to literally play with nothing but heart and grit. I was like, and those are the toughest teams to play against because they don't leave anything left. There's nothing. Everything's left on the field. And it's like they're going to fight like this is everything that they've ever worked for because they didn't expect to get here. So they were all beaming. They were so thrilled that they almost beat us. Like, they were thrilled even though they lost. They were all really good sports, and they were telling us GGs because they didn't even expect to get there. Did we just become best friends? It was literally like a did we just become best friends moment. It literally was. It literally was. I was like, this is so crazy that's what you studied. I was like, I'm literally working on a curriculum like that right now. I was like, for my church. I said, and I've wanted to create content like this for a while. I said, I think we need to talk. Okay, there we go. There we go. That's a properly scheduled video. I'm sitting here talking and distracting myself. Okay. So anyways, it was great. It was a great night. It was really, really fun. No, I didn't get a Gatorade bath. No. One of my better players, oh man, I could tell his dad was furious. The game is about to start. And he's walking onto the field, and he's in plain clothes. And I'm thinking he's injured. I'm thinking he got hurt or something. And I go up, and his dad's like, you wouldn't happen to have an extra jersey. He's like, and his whole face. And he took a moment, and he calmed down. And he said, he forgot his jersey. He's like, he's got his shin guards. He's got his shoes, but he forgot his jersey. And I'm like, I don't have a jersey, which is so frustrating because I actually do have an extra jersey at the house because one player dropped from the roster, so we had an extra jersey. I never thought to bring it. So his dad's angry. I'm obviously in the moment immediately frustrated. I'm like, you have got to be freaking kidding me. This is the dadgum final, and you forgot your jersey. Like, I know you're 9, but what are you doing, bro? So, like, I had to keep a lid on it, too, because I am so angry. I'm like, are you kidding me? I was like, I need everybody I can get on the field right now, and he was one of my stronger players. He's not accurate, but he's strong. Like, he can drive the ball up, and he can shoot from far away, which at 8- and 9-year-old level is an advantage. And so he only got to play one quarter because when one of my other really good players played goalie, I had them swap shirts because they have to wear a goalie shirt. So I literally had them swap shirts. So he only got to play one quarter, and he was great. He did fine. I don't think he scored a goal. He might have. He got close a couple times. He couldn't go get it. Where we were and where the highway is, leaving to get the jersey and coming back, he'd have never made it. The traffic is terrible. It's like 6 in the evening. So it's like you're going to leave. You're going to probably take 15 minutes to get wherever you're going. You're going to take 15 minutes to get back. I mean, I suppose they could have done that and then he could have played in the second half. But that's assuming they live within 15 minutes. If they were 20 minutes away, it was a lost cause. It's like by the time you get back, the game will be over. Or it'll be so close to being over, it won't matter. There was literally a kid on the sidelines with the same color jersey from a previous year. And I was like, just go ask that kid if you can borrow his shirt. Just swap shirts. And they didn't do it. I think they were a little too embarrassed. My blood was boiling. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I was like, I need every person I can get. And you show up and you're like, yeah, I forgot my jersey. So he got to play a quarter. And he was very bummed. But it's like, there's nothing I can do. I can't fix this situation. I don't have the ability to. You know, there aren't jerseys just lying around. It's not like that. You're just on an open field. There's no locker rooms or anything like that. So, football will get you mad even at 9-year-olds. Well, we were up by 1. Maybe it was tied. I can't remember. We were either up by 1 or it was tied. Either way, you would not want this goal to go in. The ball is slowly rolling to the goalie, and I'm getting ready to yell goalie's ball. Like I was trying to drill it into the defense's head. If the other team has kicked the ball and it's going to the box and you know that the goalie's going to be able to go up and grab it, just shield and let him grab it. Just get in front of the ball, shield it, and let him grab it. And I'm getting ready to yell goalie's ball, and homie does a drag back. He puts his foot on the ball and he drags it back like this way away from the goalie. And everybody's heart stops. We're like, what are you doing? Because like the other team is just rushing, and this kid runs up and boots it as hard as he can, thinking, oh, I've got an easy goal, and it goes wide. And I laid into him. I was like, never do that. I was like, we practiced this. Goalie's ball. It was totally the goalie's ball. What are you doing? He also crossed on his own goal in the semifinal. I was like, why are you crossing on your own goal? I was like, we've practiced this. You never do that. It's like, I have categories as a coach. if you make a mistake, right? You miss the ball, you miss the kick, you miss the block. Okay, that's going to happen. I don't expect perfection, but I don't expect you to make bad decisions. I do not expect you to make bad decisions. When you are on defense, you never cross on your own goal. And you always shield and let the goalie grab it. It was like right there. He literally drugged the ball away from the goalie. Like the goalie's going to grab it. And it's like, where is your awareness, bro? So I told his dad, I was like, man, my heart stopped. He's like, I think all of our hearts stopped. Like nobody thought he was going to do it. When he did it, it was like it made no sense. It was like the pressure is coming. The enemy is on your doorstep, and you basically drag the ball back to them. Oh, my word. Never square ball in front of goal. Yeah, you never cross on your own goal, like ever. Like, why would you ever do that? You either drive it back or out. Back or out, back or out, back or out. You never... why would you ever send it to the center? You know? Oh, my gosh. It was a heart stopper. It was like that the whole game. It was like that the whole game. It was just so intense. It was... I've never seen them fight like this. It was incredible. Anytime the ball got poked and was behind your team, it was terrifying. That's how close the game was. As soon as the ball was behind you, you're like, oh, here we go. Physical errors happen, mental are totally avoidable. Yeah, especially when it's the final, and I've been drilling it into your head that when the ball is close to the goalie, you shield and let him grab it. And when you're near the goal with the ball, you always send it out or up. You never send it across, ever. It's like that shouldn't even need to be stated. This isn't your first game. You played the entire season. So that would have been a terrible way to lose. Oh my gosh, that would have been a terrible way to lose because it would have been so blatantly obvious. Like you made a terrible play. It's not like you missed a block. Like you missed a block, it's like, man, everybody's gonna make misses. That's not your fault. That's just the way the game goes. But like you give the ball to the other team in front of your own goal. That's gonna be so hard not to be like, yeah, I mean, that's on you, bro. That's on you. When you're 9, that's the World Cup. Yeah. They played the best they've ever played. I mean, that was the only major mistake. That was the only major mistake. I put my best player in the goal so he rests in the third. Because at this age they do four quarters. I always rest him in the third so he's fresh in the fourth. They made a goal on him that just shouldn't have happened. He stopped it. And as he stopped it, he kind of fell, and then it kind of popped out of his hands and went back. And it's like, that is just a sucky goal to lose. Like, that made the game closer than it should have been, and it was just one of those stupid things. It was like there was nothing you could do. He just kind of fell. As he fell, he kind of hit his elbow, and it kind of popped out, you know. And he's not a goalie. He knows how to play goalie, and he can kick it far. That's why I put him back there. He's tall. He understands the principles of the game, and he can boot it. A lot of goalies will stop the ball and then they can't do anything with it. We were doing that all night to them. Their goalie couldn't kick it very far. He'd stop it or he'd get it and he'd go to kick it and it would like go 2 feet. And that's why I was like, stay close. Because it's a huge opportunity to score because the goalie's just, not sending it at all. The score was 6-5. It was basically tied for most of the game. We had a 3-point lead at one point, and man, they ate that up real quick. I think it was like 3-1 or 4-1 or something. And man, they destroyed that lead. I couldn't believe how quickly they evaporated our lead. It was insane. It was like every quarter mattered. Like our weakest quarter was the one that I was terrified on. And it shouldn't have been as close as it was either because they got a PK that they didn't deserve. I thought it was a terrible call, and I never questioned this ref, and I questioned him. I was like, he made a play on the ball. He did not trip the player. The player tripped after the play on the ball. So there's a kid driving to the box, trying to score. My kid comes from behind and then comes from the side and kicks the ball. He makes a play on the ball, and then the kid trips. And I'm like, that's a clean play. He didn't slide. They're not allowed to slide tackle at this level. He didn't slide tackle. He literally just came up and he put his foot out in front of him and he kicked the ball. He made a play on the ball and then the kid tripped. Like, it was the easiest call in the world. It was the easiest no call in the world. It was like you could clearly see he got to the ball, kicked the ball, and then the kid tripped. I'm like, that's a clean play. You're allowed to do that. You make a play on the ball, clean. He didn't make a play on the boy. He didn't make a play on the man. He didn't make a play on his legs. He kicks the ball. So I asked him about it afterwards, and he tried to explain it as like, it was because he hit both of his shins. And I'm like, that doesn't matter. If you're running full speed with the ball and I make a play, you make a bad touch, you make a long touch, and I make a play on the ball, and after I do that, your momentum just takes you across me and both your shins or whatever, and then you fall, oh well, sorry. That's not a foul. That I've made a play on the ball. And this wasn't even a dive. This wasn't even a slide tackle. And so they gave him a freaking penalty kick on that. And I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, this is the final. You shouldn't make a call like that. You should not make a call like that. Like, that could have determined the outcome of the game, and it was a clean play. It wasn't even, like, on the line, like, well, maybe he tripped and maybe he didn't. He got to the ball well before the other kid because he had a bad touch. It was like the ball got away from him, and I was like, all right. I was like, just give him a free goal, I guess. Did he give you a yellow? No, I stayed off the field. I just yelled. I said, he hit the ball. I was like, he played on the ball. I just kept yelling. He kicked the ball. You know, and the parents were like, some of the parents mouthed back about it, and I was like, and I wanted to be like, do y'all even know the rules? Like, you're allowed to make a play on the ball. If the kid trips afterwards, that's just the way it goes. Professionals can trip on thin air, and they might get a penalty from it, for sure. No slide tackling. We used to play on frozen red ash pitches with glass and bricks everywhere. I'd come home from my dad, and he'd pull stones from my knees. Yeah, this is a pickup league where they don't want kids getting hurt. So yeah, they don't allow them to do slide tackles or headers. They're 8 and 9-year-olds, man. They're like, well, I got hurt all the time. That makes it okay. No. I always find that line of argumentation to be weird. You know what I mean? My dad threw me down the stairs every day if I spilled milk. I turned out okay. Like, that doesn't make it right. Like, putting kids in danger is not okay just because you turned out okay. You really should have found a grass field, for real. I understand no slide tackling with areas, but no headers is weird. It's actually not, considering what would happen if you had kids out there constantly trying to head the ball. You'd be bonking heads all day. They're 8 and 9-year-old boys. I don't know if you've been around 8 and 9-year-old boys, but giving them the green light on, yeah, go ahead, run out there and try and head the ball would be a disaster. I mean, because the ball gets popped up a lot. It gets kicked up in the air a lot. And you'd have kids bonking heads all of the time. I mean, all of the time. Because they don't have that awareness. They won't even realize another player's right next to them because they're doing this. You know, they're watching the ball. We've decided brain injuries aren't worth it. The effing horror, right? Yeah. Giving a group of, what would that be? Yes, at 14. You got 14 boys on the field. You got a goalie in each box. You give 14 boys the go ahead. Like, yeah, go ahead and head it. Yeah. Oh my gosh, half the team would be concussed by the end of a game. It would be terrible. It would be absolutely terrible. My dad used to say, if you can dodge a brick, you can dodge a ball. That's right. Usually, five-a-side or eight-a-side football doesn't allow slide challenges or headers. Once, I think they have to be teenagers, and then they open it back up. Basically, once they're teenagers, they're like, well, yeah, you've got to be able to play the game like normal. Can they chest the ball? Yes. The only thing they can't do are headers and slide tackles. That's the only two things they can't do. Yeah. The only time I ever had an argument with parents was 2 years ago. I was assisting a guy for my son's team. I was head coaching my daughter and assisting this guy for my son. And we were winning. And a kid kicked the ball towards the goal. And the coach stepped onto the field and stopped the ball because it was obviously going in. He stepped onto the field and he stopped the ball. And you could tell he was irritated. He didn't do it to be like, well, let's speed the game up. No, he was being a jerk. He was angry and he wanted to speed the game up. He didn't want the ball to go to the back of the net because that eats up, 10 extra seconds or something because somebody's got to go in there and get it and throw it out or whatever. So he stepped onto the field and stopped the ball. And parents started screaming, like, what? And I was like, I'm going to say something. And I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, you need to calm down. This is a Christian league. I'm like, that has nothing to do with it. I was like, why would you stop the ball from going in? And these parents were like, it was already going in. It's not that big of a deal. I was like, and I turned to them and I said, what if it was your kid and it was their first goal? And they shut up real quick when I said that. I was like, what if it was your kid and that was their first goal and a coach blocked it? I was like, my kids are confused. They do not understand why he did that. And they got quiet real quick because I think they realized, oh, yeah, that was kind of a dick move. Like, why would you do that? Like, that could have been that kid's first goal, and all he's going to remember is some bumbling oaf who's angry about a kid's soccer game, stepped onto the field and blocked the ball. It's like, my boys were like, did it count? Did it count? I was like, yes, it counted. And I said he shouldn't have done that. That's against the rules. You're not allowed to step onto the field and interfere with the play. And the ref was like a teenager. And he's like, you got to let it go. You're setting a bad example. And I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, he stepped onto the field and interfered with the play because he's angry. So when he said that, when the ref said to let it go, I was like, all right, fine. So I go to the sidelines and I rearrange my team and I tell my best players, score as many times as you possibly can. Because I had already dialed back. That's why I was irritated. We had like a 3 or 4 point lead. And at that level, this is like young. This isn't 8 or 9. This is like 6 or 7. At 6 or 7, when you have like a 4 or 5 point lead, the game's basically over. They're never going to come back from that. It means you're dominating. And usually when I would get a 4 or 5 point lead, I would pull my scores back and I would give other kids a chance to score. And that's why I was angry. I was like, I'm giving another kid a chance to score a goal and you just ruined it because you're upset about a kid's soccer game. So I was like, fine, you want to play that way? Fine. And I was like, score as many goals as you can. And then we scored like 4 or 5 more unanswered goals. And I was like, there you go. That's the way you want to play the game. We'll play the game that way. You want to play like this is some kind of a championship and you're scrounging for every red second on the clock. I will bury you. Like, I was so irritated with him. And so afterwards, the guy that ran the thing came up and he said, yeah, I heard we had kind of a confrontation. And I told him, I said, this is what happened. I said, I wasn't unkind about it. I just called him out. I questioned him. I was like, why would you do that? Why would you ruin some kid's moment? That's completely unacceptable. I said, and it's against the rules. I said, I don't really care what his intent was. I don't really care what he thought was okay or what was not okay. It's against the rules. The coach cannot step on the field and interfere with the play. You can't. You're only allowed on the field for an untied shoe or an injury. You can't just walk on the field and start doing stuff. And he was like, okay. He's like, well, if you want to go over and say anything to him. I was like, I don't have anything to say to him. I said, I confronted him on breaking the rules and he shouldn't do it again. And then I left it at that. That was the only time I've ever had a confrontation. And it was so blatantly obvious that, like, he did it out of emotion. And the minute he got called on it, he wanted to, like, act like it's a Christian league and I shouldn't be saying anything. And I'm like, it's a Christian league, then why are you acting like a dick? Like, why are you taking some kid's score from him because you're upset? You know what I mean? It's like, that's ridiculous. Like, we're here for them. Like, this is for them. This is for them to have a good time. It's not about you. I don't know why you're even standing over there. He also is not supposed to stand where he was standing. He was like standing next to the goal. It's like you're supposed to be over here in the coach's box. I don't know why you're standing over there by the goal. I think it was his kid was the goalie, and he was taking it real personal that we were just, we were beating them. And that was what irritated me too. It was like, and that's why I said just score as many goals as you can. Because it's like, I'm sitting over here trying to be a nice guy, and I call my guys back so that we don't run the score up on you, and then you're going to do that? I was like, if that's the way you're going to play, well then fine. I'll just put all the high-scoring guys back on the field, and you're not even going to know what happened. Jesus said to be petty during kids' sports. That's right. Yeah, we haven't had any issues since then. I always am friendly with the other coaches. I always learn their names before the game starts. That always makes it really hard for anybody to get angry. The only guy I got frustrated with this year was the girls' team that was undeniably the best team. And they were up by like 7 points. And whenever they got up that high, I would just tell the girls to park the bus and frustrate them. And he just wouldn't let up. I mean, he would just keep the score going up, 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 up. And it's like, you're ahead by 7. Like, maybe rotate your players and give somebody else a chance. Like, this just seems like that's not what the league is here for you to have 2 girls that are obviously, they play club. You can tell they play club. It's like, I don't understand what the point is of having them score 7 more times. Like, this is stupid. Like, I don't say anything about it, but I just feel like it's unsportsmanlike. It's like, you've already won the game. What are you doing? It's like, what? Anytime I had that big of a lead, I was always rotating players and giving other players a chance. It's like, you've won. It's over. What purpose does this serve? Like, yeah, I know they can do that. Because I remember I told the one kid, we'd be playing against a team, and I'm like, I know you can run down there and score 6 more times. It doesn't serve a purpose. I want you to work with your team. I'm going to pull you back, make you more of a midfielder, and I want you to feed these other players and give them a chance to score. That's a good way for them to learn, and then we're not being a jerk to the other team. It's like it's a pickup league, for Pete's sakes. But that's not necessarily like a confrontation-worthy thing. There was something that, unfortunately, I'm really angry that I didn't realize what had happened. I'm literally turning from one field and turning around to go to my next game, and all my girls are coming up to me with scratches on their arms. And they're like, they scratched us. And I'm like thinking, why are you telling me this now? If they were scratching you in the game, why didn't you tell me in the game? I'm so bewildered. They're like, yeah, that one girl scratched us. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, I got to go to my next game. I was like, talk to my wife, see if she can take care of it. So my wife goes and tells the other coach. She said, hey, one of your girls scratched all of our girls, and our girls were like showing her arm. And this coach, she's like out of a movie. She's just like, there's just, the lights are on, but nobody's home. Anytime I spoke to her, it was like, yeah, it was like talking to a baby bird, just like this dead-eyed stare, just nothing in there. I'm like, hello? Like, what are you doing? Like, you try to have a conversation with them and just super spacey. So my wife told her, like, yeah, the girls are all complaining they got scratches on their arms. That, that really shouldn't be happening in the game. If it happens once by accident because, like, somebody's, like, losing their balance or something, sure. And that was the end of the matter, right? So we get in the car to leave. My boys are done playing. We get in the car to leave, and I get the full story, and my blood is boiling. They didn't get scratched in the game, which you could argue, yeah, that should not be happening, and the girl could claim it's an accident, and it's like, okay, are we going to get into this discussion? Like, you're 10 years old. We know what you did. Like, no one's going to get, I'm not going to have 4 players with clawed arms by accident. That's intentional. She didn't claw them in the game. She clawed them in the high five line. Like, literally, they went through the high five line, and she was clawing their arms. And I told my daughter, I was like, she better count her lucky stars that I didn't get the full story, because I would have been like, ref, I need a minute. I'd have had my game delayed by a minute, and I'd have went over there and been like, I'm going to the guy in charge. You're getting red carded for that. You're not playing in your next game. I will insist upon that. I would have been so angry. Like, that's not an accident. That's not like an aggressive play. Like, you're a piece of trash, and you're not playing in the next game. I don't care how old you are. You do something like that, I'm going to light you up like a bonfire. Like, just, I'm going to go through and scratch the arms of the other team because we lost. Like, you're done. You're not playing in the next game. I told my daughter, I was like, I'm kind of glad I didn't have the full story, because I'd have blew my frickin' stack. I'd have been so heated. You want to hurt my girls? You're going to get lit up. I wouldn't have held back one bit. I don't care if you're a freaking kid. I will eviscerate you for that. That's ridiculous. I'd be like, I'm going to go to the guy in charge right now. I'm giving him your name, and I will insist on a red card, because that is absolutely unacceptable. I'll have all my girls go with me. It was blatantly obvious. I mean, these were legit scratches. It wasn't like a one red mark on one girl's hand or arm or something. They all had severe like stripes down their arms. I was like, no, you're done. I'd have pushed for more, but I would have initially been like, she shouldn't play in the next game. That's red card. That's a full game suspension in my book. When I was a kid, a player like that would have been lucky to make it to the rest of the handshake line. That's probably the difference between boys and girls. Well, if a boy would have done something like that, I think the boys would have immediately pushed or something. Like, boys are just not, like my girls were just sort of shocked. Like, what the heck? Why would you do that? Like, if a boy did that, like, did like an elbow or a punch or a shove in the line, he'd have gotten shoved back. They'd be like, what are you doing? Like, boys just don't, I don't know. They're just more confrontational. They're not going to put up with that kind of crap. I'm like, what are you doing? Now, when there's stuff happening in the game, my son will commonly come to me and be like, they're shoving. And I'm like, okay. I mean, you got to figure it out, bro. You know, and my wife really commended him. She was like, you're not responding in anger and playing from emotion. She's like, you're not shoving back. She's like, that makes you a better player. When somebody's playing from emotion, they're going to make lots of mistakes because it blinds you. It makes it hard to make good decisions. The thing that frustrated me about it is we were familiar with her. It's like we've played against you before. I don't know why you're acting like this. It was a very cordial game. My girls don't play aggressive or dirty at all. If anything, they play too polite. They don't play aggressive enough. It's like, you lost. You lost fair and square. There's no reason to act like that. It wasn't like some intense game where she had like an emotional outburst at the end and you could be like, okay, you're a kid. You know, I can overlook that. Like if you had an outburst or something, but it's like, it was just a normal game and you went through the line and clawed my girls. Like, oh man, I was furious. If we'd have still been in the parking lot, I'd have turned the car around and I'm like, I'm going to go to the guy in charge right now. I'm going to go to him right now and be like, this is beyond like a minor altercation in a game. This was willful and malicious and should be red carded. That wasn't even, again, that wasn't like a confrontation. It was like I found out after the fact. Lily getting be litty like that. What's interesting to me is that all the years we've done it, there's usually only a couple of kids that struggle in that department. So one of the teams we had to play on Saturday, my boys had to play 2 games back to back. They had a burner. And when I say burner, I mean this kid is so dadgum fast, it's almost hard to believe. Like just like with the ball, sprinting faster than my boys that don't have the ball. That's always an impressive feat. It's like, how are you doing that? You have the ball and you're faster than people without the ball. Like, wow. So they had a burner. This kid's quick. But as soon as they start losing, he can't keep a lid on it. He gets emotional. He's on the verge of tears. He's shoving. He's grabbing jerseys. His coach had to pull him off the field twice. And finally we got a call. I was like, thank you. I was like, he's been doing it the whole game. He kept shoving my boys. And he's little, so it's not that effective. But he finally shoved somebody and they fell. And I was like, thank you for calling that. I was like, he's been doing that the whole game. You know, he plays from... Some kids play from the heart and it helps them. And other kids play from the heart and it hurts them. Like, he's a good player. And I felt bad for him. I was like, it's never fun being the all-star on a team of anchors because the rest of his team just couldn't do anything. You know, they were bad. And it was like, sorry, bud. You know, they probably won a couple games because you could get the ball to him. He could run it all the way down, and he had a pretty good kick for a little guy. You know, kid plays with too many emotion. That's why I always congratulate my son on. I'm like, don't let it get to you. Don't retaliate. You know, that shows that you're becoming a man when you can keep a lid on that crap, because that's what they're wanting you to do. They're wanting you to get frustrated. Excuse me. They're wanting you to get frustrated. They're wanting you to make a mistake. You know, and that's why the team that we played in the final, I really enjoyed playing against them because they don't really play that way. They had one kid that was shoving a little bit, but it's just like, shoving's going to happen. It's soccer. It's intense. You're trying to get to the ball. Instinct's going to override. Your arm's going to come up. You know, that's just a natural thing that people are going to do. And sometimes they're not shoving. Their arm's just up. You know, they're just shielding. You haven't touched Wukong yet? Waiting on a patch based on your experience with it months ago. They dropped a 90-something gig patch yesterday, and I think it's still just as bad. I even took it into my living room, so I played it in here on the monitor. I'll go into further detail in the live show about it. On the monitor, I was like, I think this looks bad still. In coming from Ghost of Yotei is a great comparison, because Yotei looks magnificent and runs really smooth. I took it in my living room and I'm like, yeah, I think this still looks bad. There's just this. I don't know. There's something about it. Even if you turn like the motion blur on, the motion blur obviously makes it worse because it just looks real like blurry and glossy. And I turn the motion blur off, I turn the sharpening off, and it's just an ugly game when it's in motion. It's ugly. It just doesn't look good. It's like it's I feel like my eyes are getting irritated anytime I spin the camera. And they said they fixed input latency or whatever. It still doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right. There's something about the game that does not feel right. Did you restart with Black Myth? I just picked it up where I was. It was a little irritating because there was these guys on a rooftop shooting arrows at me, and I was like, I just want to kind of, test the combat, and that's hard to do when you got guys just raining down arrows. It's like, I'm just trying to test the combat. So I got away from that section, and I tested the combat on a couple of other guys. Right? And it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't. I do not think that game feels good. It doesn't feel tight. It feels like there's still some latency or something where like I don't feel like he's doing things right when I tell him to. I don't know. You come from Sekiro, Ghost of Tsushima, Ghost of Yotei, First Berserker Kazan. Like immediately those games feel tight. There's a responsiveness, and it's like bing, bing, bing. Like especially like in Kazan with the parry windows. And Black Myth just feels sloppy. There's something about it that just doesn't feel good. I don't know. It's like it feels like there's like Vaseline on the lens whenever I'm moving the camera around. It gets like this blurry, like ugly look to it when you're in motion. And then the actual latency of the button presses, it just doesn't feel good. That's the best descriptor I can come up with. A lot of games use temporal anti-aliasing, using multiple frames of history to smooth out the image, but it often just ends up blurry and soft. Yeah. And I know, that's not a fair comparison. Yotei is so far beyond the vast majority of games, but that's what I'm going to compare it to because that's what I'm playing. If I compared it to First Berserker Kazan, I would come to a similar conclusion. Kazan looked great. It ran great. The frame rate was reliable. The button presses felt tight and responsive. Black Myth, there's nothing about it that looks or feels right. When he's standing still, it's okay. You can tell they did work. You can tell they tried. I don't know what they did, but I was switching between the Legacy Performance mode, which I'm glad they left that in so you can test it. I was switching between the Legacy Performance and the new Performance mode, and I really couldn't tell a difference. I just couldn't. And I'm not even comparing it to the beauty of Ghost. I'm just doing camera spins. I'm just spinning the camera and looking at the world itself. And it's like, I don't feel like there was much of a difference here. It feels just as ugly as it did the last time I played it, which is disappointing because I know a lot of people liked it, and there was always the possibility that I could have liked it. Okay, so I'm going to send you guys over to the live show though. I've been sending you guys over a few minutes early, just so we're not late over there. You guys on Twitch don't need to do anything. You just hang tight, and I'll be back in a minute. I'll switch it off a sub-only chat. You guys can use the link in chat over here on YouTube or get the redirect. Yo, Doc, the fact I still have a membership, even though I haven't been here in a while, shows how amazing and generous your community is. Good stuff, Lono, but Game Pass for the algorithm. We're not talking Game Pass today, Doc. We're not. Speaking of generous, people are going to have to be generous if you want to stay on Game Pass. All right, guys, use the link in chat. I'll be over there in the live show in just a minute.